Denmark, small kingdom, giant legacy. Picture this: you're in Copenhagen, and you buy a sandwich for the price of a decent hotel room in some parts of the world, over $20. At first, you're outraged, but then you take a bite and realize it's worth every penny. That's Denmark in a nutshell. On the surface, it looks small and simple, but once you dig in, you discover layers of history, culture, and innovation that far outweigh its size. Geography, a puzzle of islands and bridges. Denmark sits at the crossroads of Europe and Scandinavia, the southernmost Nordic country, acting as a cultural and physical bridge. The nation is anchored by the Jutland Peninsula, Jylland, which connects to Germany, and surrounded by a scattering of 1,400 islands. Only about 70 are inhabited, but together they shape Denmark's character. The largest, Zealand, Sjælland, is home to the capital, Copenhagen, and linked to Fyn, via the impressive Great Belt Bridge. This engineering marvel stretches more than 18 kilometers and is one of the longest suspension bridges in the world. Denmark also boasts the Øresund Bridge, connecting Copenhagen to Malmö, Sweden, another symbol of how tightly interwoven the Nordic region is. Copenhagen itself is a living postcard. Cobbled streets weave between pastel-colored townhouses, centuries-old palaces, and some of the most forward-thinking modern buildings in Europe. The city is also famous for its cycling culture. There are more bikes than cars, and nearly 50% of residents commute daily on two wheels. But the Kingdom of Denmark isn't confined to Europe. Its crown still holds two far-flung jewels, Greenland and the Faroe Islands. Greenland, the world's largest island, is 80% ice-covered and home to Inuit communities who have preserved traditions of hunting, fishing, and dog sledding for centuries. The Faroe Islands, a collection of 18 rugged, volcanic isles, are known for dramatic cliffs, sea stacks, puffin colonies, and fjord-like landscapes that look straight out of a fantasy novel. Both regions govern themselves but remain under Danish sovereignty for defense, justice, and foreign affairs. History, from Viking longships to modern diplomacy. Denmark's history is one of bold explorers, fierce battles, and surprising transformations. The Viking Age, 8th to 11th century Denmark was the heart of Viking culture. From here, warriors and traders sailed across Europe, raiding monasteries, founding cities, and even settling in North America centuries before Columbus. Old Norse words still pepper the English language. Terms like window, egg, and husband are all Viking leftovers. The Kalmar Union, 1397. For a time, Denmark held the crown over Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Greenland, and the Faroe Islands in a political alliance known as the Kalmar Union. Though it later fractured, it showed Denmark's early ambition to dominate Scandinavia. Wars with Sweden. 16th to 18th century Denmark and Sweden fought more wars against each other than nearly any other pair of European countries. Borders shifted, kings schemed, and entire fleets clashed in the icy Baltic. Today, the rivalry has mellowed into good-natured competition over sports and design. Colonial ventures. 17th to 19th century Denmark once had overseas territories in the Caribbean, the Danish West Indies, now the U.S. Virgin Islands, West Africa, in Ghana, and even India. They eventually sold or lost these colonies, but remnants of Danish influence linger in architecture and place names across the globe. World War II. In 1940, Nazi Germany invaded Denmark. The government surrendered quickly, but the Danish resistance played a heroic role, most famously in smuggling nearly all of the country's Jewish population, over 7,000 people, across the sea to safety in Sweden. This act remains one of Denmark's proudest moments. Today, Denmark has reinvented itself as a modern powerhouse of diplomacy, consistently punching above its weight in international politics, peacekeeping, and sustainability. Land and nature, small but mighty. Denmark is flat. Very flat. Its highest point, Malahøj, is only 170 meters tall, barely more than a hill. But what it lacks in mountains, it makes up for in fertile farmland and sweeping coastlines. About two-thirds of the land is dedicated to agriculture. Denmark produces enough food to feed more than 15 million people, triple its population. It's also one of the world's biggest exporters of pork and dairy. And then there's the unexpected export, Christmas trees. The Danish Nordmann fir is so famous that each year millions are shipped to Germany, the Netherlands, and the UK. The coasts are lined with sandy beaches and rolling dunes, perfect for summer camping and windsurfing. Denmark also leads in renewable energy, especially wind power. Offshore wind farms dot the coastline, and more than 40% of the nation's electricity comes from wind. People and culture, the secret to Danish happiness. Denmark has about 5.9 million people, the majority ethnically Danish, though communities of Poles, Turks, Germans, and Middle Eastern immigrants add diversity. Nearly everyone speaks fluent English, making the country remarkably easy to navigate for visitors. Danes are proud descendants of Vikings, but their culture today emphasizes humility and community. Two core ideas define the Danish mindset. Janteloven, a social code that says no one is above anyone else. Success is admired, but arrogance is frowned upon. Hygge, a philosophy of coziness, comfort, and togetherness. Think candlelit dinners, wool blankets, and laughing with friends on a rainy evening. Despite long, dark winters, Denmark consistently ranks among the world's happiest countries. Interestingly, they also have one of the highest rates of antidepressant use, perhaps proof that happiness is a cultural construct as much as an emotion. The Danes have left their mark on the world through figures like Hans Christian Andersen, whose fairy tales inspired Disney classics, philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, the father of existentialism, and architects like Bjarke Ingels, who is reshaping skylines from New York to Dubai. And let's not forget Lego, invented in Denmark and still headquartered in Billund. Food is another cultural stronghold. Danish pastries are globally beloved, though in Denmark they're just called wienerbrød, Vienna bread. More recently, the country has become a leader in modern cuisine. Copenhagen's restaurant Noma has repeatedly been voted the best in the world, serving daring dishes with reindeer moss, fermented berries, and yes, live ants. Sports and leisure are equally important. Danes are passionate about football, soccer, cycling, and handball. The Tour de France even began in Denmark in 2022, showcasing its love of bicycles. Denmark and the world, small nation, big influence. Though small in size, Denmark is an active player globally. As a founding member of NATO and the EU, it is deeply integrated in European affairs. It has strong economic and cultural ties with Germany, its southern neighbor, while the UK and the US remain important allies. Its closest friends, however, are the other Nordics, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Iceland. Centuries of rivalry and shared history have turned into close cooperation today. Norway is often considered Denmark's favorite sibling, while Sweden is the friendly rival. Conclusion: the Kingdom of Balance. Denmark is a country of contrasts, ancient Viking bloodlines and futuristic design, icy winters and warm hygge, small size but global influence. It's a nation where equality is sacred, bicycles outnumber cars, and fairy tales mingle with cutting-edge architecture. This little kingdom may look modest on a map, but its story is larger than life. Denmark is living proof that greatness is not measured in land or population, but in creativity, resilience, and the ability to make even a rainy day feel cozy.